Hello, good afternoon. Maligayang pakikipisa ng Mapa. I'm Jadurani and I'm a consultant at UP NOAA. In my presentation for Pista ng Mapa 2021, I will be walking you through the Revamped Project NOAA website and also discuss with you some of the technical processes involved in the said revamp. But before we go into that, let's first discuss a brief background of Project NOAA. Now, NOAA stands for Nationwide Operational Assessment of Hazards. In Filipino, this means ito yung pagsusuri ng mga iba't ibang hazard o peligro sa buong bansa. Ngayon yung bansa natin, our beloved Philippines, is a hotbed of disasters. We are located in the Pacific Ring of Fire and also in the typhoon belt. So, Ring of Fire na nga, typhoon belt pa. Now, this photo shows yung path ng mga typhoons in a span of 150 years. And kitang-kita dito sobrang suki ng Philippines. Now, with continued development and population growth in hazard-prone areas, damage to infrastructure and human lives would persist or even rise. So, kung yung mga infrastructure natin, tinatayo natin sa mga hazard-prone areas, and yung mga tao, patuloy na lumalapit dun sa mga infrastructure na yun for opportunities like education or healthcare and even kabuhayan, kunwari yung mga business establishments natin, tinatayo natin sa mga hazard-prone areas, then patuloy-tuloy na dadami yung mga buhay na naaapektuhan. Unless we do something about it, right? And dito pumapasok yung Project NOAA. Project NOAA is a disaster research program funded by DOST from 2012 to 2017. It is now managed by the University of the Philippines starting March 2017. And Project NOAA was initially a response to former President Noynoy Aquino's call for a better disaster prevention and mitigation system. And it was launched in 2012 following the aftermath of Typhoon Sendong in 2011, which claimed the lives of over 1,000 people. Now, to further cement the objective of Project NOAA, let's first quote directly from Noynoy's speech during the launch of Project NOAA in 2012. Ang Project NOAA po ang nagsisilbing arko ng mga Pilipino laban sa dilubyo. Tutudukan na natin ng mga nakasanayang pagtitiis tuwing tag-ulan. Hindi na pwede ang bahala na sawa na tayo sa kaba. Sa tama at sapat na kaalaman, sasanayin natin ang mga Pilipino sa puspusang kahandaan. So, to paraphrase, I clicked the wrong thing. Okay. To paraphrase, we want to equip the Filipinos with scientific knowledge so that we all can make data-driven decisions towards safety. So take note dun sa data-driven decisions towards safety. Now, next question here is how? Paano natin ma-achieve to? Take note again, data-driven decisions. So in order for that to happen, we need to expose the data, right? We need to make the data public. We need to make it open. So here we have data on flooding. Ito yung dating NOAA website. And pinapakita dito yung flood simulation maps. Pagka pula, ibig sabihin yung lalim ng baha ay lampas leeg. Kapag naman ang kulay doon sa mapa ay orange, then that is from bandang baywang hanggang dibdib. Ngayon kapag yellow naman is bandang tuhod yung lalim ng baha. Ngayon sa landslides naman, ganito, may ganun ding color coding, red, orange, yellow. Ngayon pagka red, like no dwelling zone talaga. Ngayon kapag orange, then kailangan ng mas maiging measures to be protected. Ngayon pag yellow, then pwede pero mas magandang hindi pa rin. Ganun. Ganun naman sa storm surge din, same level ng or same idea as the flooding. Pagka red, lampas tao or leeg, and then orange hanggang baywang. Pagka low naman or yellow, hanggang tuhod. Ngayon, may iba pang mga data na na-expose to the public, like weather-related imagery, and also weather stations and stream gauges. Just wanted to note na itong graphs na to, very important siya sa mga like LGUs, wherein yung mga ibang personnel nila, inaabangan talaga nila yung mga ito. So data ito from the ating mga gauges, like rain gauges, stream gauges. So ni-measure nito yung pagtaas ng tubig doon sa water body like rivers. And ngayon, pagka tumataas na siya, pupunta ng critical level, then magtatawag na yung mga barangay natin or mga LGU officials to evacuate yung mga residents. Ngayon, kung exposed na itong mga data na to, then why do we need a revamp? Ano bang issue here? Ano bang kailangan baguhin dito? Ngayon, actually, itong old NOAA website is still accessible via this link. Okay. Now, I got into the team just this year, and I was supposed to be a front-end developer, but then when I got in, malalim pala ang designer, so I ended up designing as well. So, I asked the team, ano bang issue, ano bang nangyayari, and ano nga bang problema in the first place, and why do we need a revamp? So, itong isi-share ko ngayon is the summary of what happened, or ano yung mga kailangan baguhin with the old website. So first and foremost, the website was already old and it has deprecated tooling which makes it difficult to update or maintain. Also difficult to add more features. Also, with regard to UX naman, yung data often requires a prerequisite knowledge to understand. So, just to go back a few slides back, itong data na to, parang kung hindi ako technical person, parang titingnan ko siya as design lang. Parang titingnan ko siya as parang, okay, anong ganap dito? So, pagka punta naman natin sa landing page, parang ina-expect niya na alam ko na yung dapat kong gawin. So, magpipindot na lang ako, mag-explore ako. When I also tried itong how to use, just explained ano sila, pero for me, kung wala akong background sa GIS, I also won't understand. So that's what we meant by this second item here. Now, third item or third item sa summary natin is yung shape files or yung data na pinapakita natin previously. Nire-request rin siya ng mga ibang universities and ibang mga LGUs and research centers. But we already have that here. Kaso nga lang, yung experience in downloading them was kind of, difficult. Kaya that's another thing that we also wanted to incorporate dito sa revamp. Now, another item is that we want to suggest actionable items given the information on hazard exposure. So, given na alam mo na delikado nga sa lugar mo, anong pwede mong gawin? So, that's another thing now we wanted to incorporate doon sa revamp. Yan. This was during our design review sessions. Now, with the revamp project naman, my bagong logo. And bukod dyan, so there was a major rework on the UI or user interface and user experience. And then we also updated yung tech stack. So we now use Mapbox, Angular, RxJS, and RxJS for the state management of the whole app. And then Tailwind for the UI. Now, dito naman sa revamp natin, we kept in mind na we have two main user segments, yung technical users and yung non-technical users. Yung old NOAA website was focused mainly on the technical users. Ito yung mga tao na alam na nila yung kailangan nilang gawin kapag pumunta sila ng Project NOAA. Ngayon, here sa revamp, we also want to cater to the non-technical users or yung mga general public. Okay. Now, with that, hopefully we establish na this is easier to use. But again, itong final item na to, is going to be determined by the end users themselves, like you guys. So would be very happy to receive your feedback later on. Pero before that, let's go through the actual walkthrough. So for the walkthrough, you can visit itong https://noaa.ph, and this is one of the main things that we improved dito sa revamp, no? Instead of having to type in noaa.up.edu.ph, especially for those people na hindi familiar pa with the UP URLs, then noaa.ph is much easier to remember, undoubtedly. Okay. So, sa walkthrough natin, let's divide yung parang users natin based doon sa user segments na discussed earlier. So, for our first case, si JD, let's name her JD. JD, ang background niya is she's a first-year college student from Cavite. Let's assume that this is pre-pandemic, and she will now live in the dormitory in Manila. And she has little or no background in GIS at all, but she does have basic map reading skills. And then, ang scenario is there's news that there's a typhoon coming, and JD wants to know the hazards in her area due to the typhoon. Ngayon, may darating na bagyo, ngayon gusto niya malaman kung gaano kadelikado yung lugar niya at ano magagawa niya about it. So ito yung questions. How likely is her dormitory going to be affected by flooding? Where's the nearest safest area, and what to do in the event of flooding? So first question muna, how likely is her dormitory going to be affected by flooding? Now we go to the NOAA website. Ito yung landing page, bagong landing page ni Project NOAA. And here we have yung value proposition niya na, which is for the user to know the hazards in their area. So dito ma-assess ng user kung gaano siya likely ma-affect ng flooding, ng landslides and storm surges, and anong pwede niya magawa dito. So let's say si JD ay magka-college sa UST. Okay. Ngayon, here, tingnan natin kung ano yung hazard levels sa paligid ni JD. So, sabi dito yung flood hazard level daw niya is medium. So, pag tinignan mo doon sa mapa, may orange dun sa ilalim. Ibig sabihin, ito yung flood simulation map kanina, and tumatama yung pin or yung location ni JD doon sa flood area, sa area na may flooding evaluated to medium. Ngayon, if JD clicks on that button, then expand yung information about that particular hazard, which is flooding, and then may information here on what to do during the flood. And dito naman sa bandang baba, yung survival kit or laman ng pwedeng maging survival kit ni JD. So, she'll be more prepared kapag kailangan na mag-evacuate. Ngayon, ganun din sa storm surge. Ibig sabihin lang nito na kapag magkaroon ng storm surge, matatamaan yung lugar, pero yung hazard level niya is medium din. So, ibig sabihin, pwedeng umabot na hanggang baywang yung lalim nung tubig na pupunta doon sa lugar. Pag sa landslide naman, little to none yung pinapakita dito. So, malayo siya sa bundok at malayo rin, of course, sa landslides. Ngayon, sa bandang baba naman, pinapakita yung mga critical facilities. Original idea here was that we add here yung evacuation centers so that alam ni JD kung saan siya pwedeng pumunta. Pinakamalalapit na evacuation centers. But since we don't have that data yet, we display here yung mga critical facilities nearest to JD. So, nearest 20 yung pinapakita dito. And then, when JD clicks on that, pwedeng makita kung saang direction or saan banda relative to JD's current location or location na sinerch ni JD. Alright. So, ang critical facilities na pinapakita dito yung hospitals, schools, fire stations, and police stations. It's a kilometer away almost. And then here shown din yung distance. Now, that's for user segments na kagaya ni JD. So, this involves yung mga non-technical users. Now, what if naman you're a technical user? Diyan tayo pupunta ngayon sa ating case 2, which is, kunwari si Mayor Vico Sitao. And alam natin kung kanino to hango. So, si Mayor Vico Sitao, ang expectation sa kanya is, or background niya is, siya ay a public official and has a degree in political science. And as a technical user, then we are expecting that they're more used to complexity. And for that, we have yung isang feature pa ni NOAA na tinatawag natin NOAA Studio. And you can access that via the landing page or via the URL directly. So here, ito si NOAA Studio, nandito na siya sa header ng page. And then if you scroll down further, you can also see yung prompt for users like Mayor Vico Sitao. And then when you click on that, you're shown this page. No? This is originally named Playground kasi sobrang dami mong pwedeng gawin dito na view for the map. But hindi angkop yung playground na term when we're talking about hazards, right? So we named it Studio instead. So with NOAA Studio, balik tayo dun sa question na para kay Mayor Vico Sitao or mga questions na likely itanong ni Mayor. We have which hospitals are highly exposed to hazards and where can we build the next schools? So suppose si Mayor, Mayor pala siya ng Leyte. Punta tayong Leyte. And then, actually, with Mapbox, 3D na yung maps natin. Ayan. Ngayon, we want to know daw yung hospitals na highly exposed to hazards. Okay, so hospital is a critical facility. So we enable that, we view that. And then we expand this section in the panel. And we see na naka-check na si hospital. We can change yung opacity niya. And then we can also hide or show yung individual critical facility group. And then we can also show yung schools, no? Pero we'll get to that again later. So with that, sige, let's see. Right now, pinapakita here is yung hazard na flood, as shown here. And then we can change the color to blue. Okay. I'll discuss these things later pa, itong 5-year, 25, and 100. But for now, ang pwede lang natin, or ang parang gist here is, when it comes to rain return periods, it's like an estimate of gaano ka lala yung epekto ng ulan na yun. So, pagka 100-year rain return, you can expect na yung mga pagbabaha na dulot ng bagyong Ondoy. Ganun siya kalakas. So, here, we already changed yung color ni flood. And then we can show now yung iba pang mga hazards. So, let's go with storm surge. Let's view muna. Ayan. Tanggalin natin siya. Si storm surge, enable natin. And then we check yung sub-level niya. Let's say sub 4. And then we check again yung landslide naman. Sa landslide, may different subtypes siya. Sa landslides mismo, debris flow in alluvial fan, and unstable slopes. And then we can change the colors of each one then. But for simplicity, ayan, sige, yan, change natin yung debris flow to, let's say, green. And then let's change yung landslides to purple. Ayan. So at least here you can see na may mga hospital here sa area na to na ligtas siya ligtas siya sa storm surge, malayo siya sa storm surge. Tapos hindi rin sila tinatamaan ng flooding. Well, based dito sa ating flood simulation maps. At hindi rin sila tinatamaan ng landslide itself. Galing dito sa kabundukan. Okay? Hindi sila tinatamaan yan. Pero, sakop sila ng outline na to ng debris flow and alluvial fan. Ngayon, ano ba yung alluvial fan? Sige. Yung alluvial fan ay pag-accumulate ng mga sediments na fine habang umuulan. Ngayon, pwedeng dumami rin siya at maging putik at malaki rin yung pwede niyang maging effect doon sa lugar na to. So yun lang, this is one way to identify or this basically answers yung question here na which hospitals are highly exposed to hazards. Then pagka pinakita mo na lahat ng hazards doon sa lugar, and then you can see here or identify which hospitals exactly are situated in hazard-prone areas. So, kita dito na si Kalinga Barangay Health Station, lapit siya. Actually, hindi pala siya tinatamaan ng flood, pero napapalibutan siya ng mga areas na binabaha. Ngayon, ito naman si Dagami Main Center. Mukhang ganun din yung kanyang situation. Hindi siya exactly lubog sa baha, pero malapit-lapit na. Ngayon, ang floods here or ang flood simulation maps namin ay may 10 meter by 10 meter resolution. So, yan. Just wanted to inform you na yun yung resolution niya, yun yung accuracy niya here. Ngayon, that's basically it, no, for this question. Ngayon, ang next question is, where can we build the next schools? So, ang rule of thumb lang is we want na yung schools natin ay hindi mailagay dun sa mga areas na makulay. So, avoid the colors, kumbaga. If we're planning out, our cities and our barangays, ideally, yung mga ganitong critical facilities, we place them in areas na hindi makulay. Okay, so schools, we enable yung schools, and then we hide muna itong hospitals. Ayan. So, ayan yung schools, nakita naman natin here na mukhang maganda yung placement nila. Malayo sila dun sa mga hazards, and malapit din sila sa mga roads. So, good placement. Dito naman, si Santa Ana National High School, tinatamaan siya ng flood. So, we know it's flood kasi we've set na blue yung flooding. And then, itong Santa Ana Elementary School, hindi naman daw siya tinatamaan ng flooding. Pero for this one, mukhang hanggang tuhod yung pagbabaha. Pero again, note lang na ang naka-enable sa atin or naka-show is yung 100-year rain return period, which is yung ulan niya na kasing lakas ng Kayondoy. Okay, yung pagbabaha na kasing lakas ng Kayondoy. Alright, so ito yung areas. Mukhang pwede tayo magtayo dito rin sa lugar na to. Malayo sa mga mga areas na makulay. At ganun din dito. Ayan. So, mukhang yung karamihan naman ng mga school ay ganun yung placement nila. Tingnan natin kung may mga school na tinatamaan. Yan, mukhang marami rin pala. Ngayon, pagka nag-zoom out naman tayo, nagka-cluster sila together so that it's easier to spot ano yung maraming schools na tinatamaan. Like for example, this one. 17 schools daw. Pero nakita natin na sakop siya ng storm surge. Again, si storm surge, ang kulay niya na pinakita or na sinet natin is itong red, orange, yellow. And then we can still change that to, let's say, pink. Yan. So, it's just more apparent. Ngayon, kita natin na yung mga school natin dito mukhang lahat sila pwedeng tamaan ng storm surge. So, kapag ganito, mas i-monitor natin yung mga schools na to, especially kapag may alert nga. Or may news na paparating na bagyo, especially pag malakas sa bagyo, then we become more prepared. Okay? Ang goal nga natin dito is to arm our fellow citizens with scientific knowledge so that they can make data-driven decisions. Okay, so I think that answers yung questions for the technical user example natin here na si Mayor Vico Sitaw. And we have here other features na you can play around or you can check out. Itong weather station natin, for example, yung weather satellite image. And then we can hide here muna yung ating mga critical facilities. Okay? And then we can hide yung mga hazards natin. Okay? Ito naman yung record nung lagay ng panahon for the past hours. Ngayon, meron din tayong rainfall contour. And then, we have here yung sensors. Okay? You can explore that na lang on your own time. Alright, so what's next for us? Okay, NOAA data. Yung data na pinakita namin previously here, itong critical facilities, yung for the schools and police stations and fire stations, all of them came from OpenStreetMap. And for the hospitals naman, the data came from DOH. And yung flood maps, landslide maps, and storm surge maps, these are all data coming from the NOAA Center itself. So you can also download all of these data from our website. And we have here a link that you can just visit, and then it would lead you to a Google Drive. Na no questions asked, no need to fill out any forms, di namin kayo kailangan makilala para ma-download niyo itong data here. You can just visit this and download it, and it's open. Just and then you can actually even build your own NOAA website once you get yung data dito. Right? So the data here would all lahat sila naka-raw shape files, so we can do what you want with them. But again, cite yung sources nyo. But after that, we're good. And then what's next? Future releases natin will incorporate yung typhoon tracker, population mapping, risk evaluations, translations, carbon emissions measurement. So for the translations, we plan to have NOAA website also in Filipino, Bisaya, Hiligaynon, other languages pa in the Philippines. Request rin lang. But yeah, we also need manpower on the translations. Yeah. And then, of course, for the future releases and future updates nung design, we will base it upon the feedback that we will gather from you guys. So yeah, if you have feedback or comments, questions, suggestions for the revamped website, or also even for this presentation, you can send them here at tinyurl.com, NOAA feedback. And with that, maraming salamat at maligayang pakikipis na muli ng Mapa.